welcome to part 2 of our Moho-ho Christmas crochet along, where we are making our hexagon stocking. So in the last thrilling instalment we made all of our little circles here, and you should have 16 of these. And so now what I'm going to show you is how to turn them into the hexagon. Now there are two options. As those of you who know me will know, I'm not great at doing anything more than once. So I've done this stocking here, and now I'm a bit like, oh, how can I adapt it? How can I change it? How can I make it a bit more different? So it's really hard being me. So I'm going to give you an option here, and you can choose. If you fancy getting a little bit creative, then you can do it, and if not, we can stick with the traditional one. So on the first stocking, all of my motifs, all of my hexes looked like this. If you're paying a particular attention to the way that the bit where the cream, the background colour is joined to the circle. So, and that was, I achieved that by working through both loops of this round. When I was going round it with the next one, I went through both loops. What I thought on this one is, oh, I wonder what it'll look like if you go through the back loop only. And it gives you this slightly raised, if you can see, slightly raised texture there, and you get a bit more of a circular edge as opposed to like the kind of sunburst style there. So I am going to show you, it's the same either way around. You just either go through two loops or you go through one loop. So see which way around you fancy. I will show you through both loops first of all, and then if anybody wants me to show you through the back loop only, give us a shout and I'll sort you out. Okay, so we're going to be turning it from a circle into a hexagon. So there's going to be some different height stitches to achieve these kind of these corners, not kind of corners, actual corners, aren't they? Right, so let's get them out of the way. I know that this is not my colourway, but I'm not going to do this hexagon in navy blue, because navy blue on a video you'll see nothing. So I'm going to do a teal circle, and I'm going to do the border in the mustard. So when you look at your circles, there is one side should hopefully have a bit with a bit of a dimple in the middle where the spot just kind of sinks a little bit. If you look at it compared to that one, oh, flat. This side is the one that we're going to work into. It's also the way that you would work into anyway if you were turning the rounds. So if you were working through the front of the stitches, you'd be going under that side. We want to be going through these like we would normally if we were turning. Okay, now there's a few little sneaky cheats and tricks along the way, so pay close attention. So I'm lacing myself up. I've no slip knot or anything like that, and I'm going to pick any hole, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to go under both loops, or if I'm going to do the back loop only one, I'm just going to join it under the back loop only, like that. Okay, so I'm going to go under both, and I catch my yarn and I pull it through. Now, just to make sure this join is extra secure, what I'm going to do is with the tail end, I'm going to hook the tail end and pull that through. And that's how I'm going to join my yarn on. Now this where I've joined here, this isn't going to count as anything, so I'm going to work another stitch into that space there, and that's going to start with a double crochet. Now because I'm not, I don't like sewing in my ends. It's not, some people really treasure it and take pleasure from it, don't they? I don't. So what I'm going to do is, as I work round for the first like 4 or 5 stitches, I'm going to hold my tail along this back edge and try and work over it as well. And this is going to be the back side anyway. This will be inside the stocking, so it doesn't matter if you can sort of see the line. So we started off with a double crochet. In the next stitch I'm going to do a half treble, so that's wrap around in through there underneath that yarn as well at the back there, just to start sewing that in. Catch your yarn at the back and pull it through. So you've got 3, wiggly wiggle and round and through all 3, so that's a half treble. The next one is going to be a corner space, and a corner space is created by doing a treble, 1 chain and another treble all into that same stitch, which is here. So I go treble, 1 chain, treble. This is the most complicated round out of all of them. So if you've got this, you're fine. So again, I'm just pulling this little tail a bit tighter just so it kind of follows me around. Again, so the next one is a half treble, and then double, and a half treble, and then treble chain treble to create the corner space. So the repeat is, let's get this out of the way there. So I'm going to drop my tail now. I think I've gone through enough stitches there. I'll drop that down and not work over anymore. So it's corner space, half treble, double, half treble, corner space. So you can see the stitches are starting to create this really nice flat edge here as they go like shorter, shorter, longer, longer. Right, so I've done my, I've just done a corner space, so it's going to be half treble, double. This you can see here, this is where my invisible join is. So it might be a little bit tougher to get it through where your invisible join is, but just try and make it look uniform and you will be tip top. Half treble. So that was half treble, double, half treble. So it must now be treble, chain, treble. Chain and a treble. So then you've guessed it, half treble, double, half treble, and then treble, chain, treble. Right, oh, let's get a bit of wool. So half treble, double, half treble, treble, chain, treble. And if you've got the right numbers in your previous round, this should work out perfectly. Half treble, double, half treble, treble, chain, treble. And then we started on a double, if you remember. So we should be ending on one of those little half trebles, and we've just got one space left for that half treble to go in. Beautiful. And then we slip stitch into the 2 loops at the top of the double crochet there. So there's the first bit. That's round 1. So we've got one more round to do. So we do 1 chain, turn. Now that doesn't count as your first stitch on this one. So I'm going to do here, I'm going to do a double into that stitch at the bottom there. Now this round, much easier than the last one, it's just double crochets all the way around. We need to make sure we do double chain double in each corner space, and then we should have 5 double crochets along the top. Now I'll show you when we get to the first one. So we go, so that's 1 and 2 and 3. So you must go into this one at just before the corner space. I know it looks a bit doesn't quite look like it's a full stitch for you to go in, but you must go into that one. So on the first side we should have 1, 2, 3, and then in corner space, so that's double, chain, double in the same corner space there. So then my first stitch that I'm going to work into is here, and I should be able to do 5 along this edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that little sneaky one there that might elude you, evade you, e-word you. Right, and then it's double, chain, double, all into that corner space, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then sneaky cheeky one at the end there, 5, double chain double, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would definitely count out loud for the first few that you do with these, and then once you've done a couple you should have your eye in and you should be able to spot them nice and easy then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, double chain double, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you should see they'll start to give you a really nice hexagonal shape, especially if you're working on a slightly smaller hook to get you this sort of quite rigid tension. So I'm on to my last now, and if you remember I started where I joined, I did 1, 2, 3, so I should only have 2 left to do. So I've got 1 and 2 there, lovely, 1 and 2, and then I'm going to slip stitch join into the top of that first stitch that I made there, and then we snip it off, pull it up like that, like we would before, and then we do our invisible join again. So I'll show you that again just in case you've forgotten from last time, although if you've done 16 you should be a master. So we go underneath, so I'm coming out of this one here. I've come underneath that one, so I'm going to go under the next two along here. So through there, lovely. Bring my yarn over to the front. I'm going to go back down through the loop where I came from and through the back loop and the third bar, and the next bit down it, of the treble that I want it to sit over the top of. Just give it a wiggly wiggle to get the tension sorted and then sew the rest of that end in there. Okay, so this will be your front. Let's just pass that through there to... So this will be your front, the one with the slightly dimpled, can you see the slightly dimpled circle in there? And if you're doing this version, then the one with this ridge will sit on the front as well. Okay, so we want to turn your 16 circles, squircles I was going to call them then, 16 circles into hexagons. And then in the next bit, I will show you how to make this shape here that creates the toe, which I'm calling a double diamond or a four-sided hexagon, which I realise is probably a square. So we will create this one. It'll just be a little quickie because we only need to make one of them just to make this little shape there. All right, give us a shout if you've got any questions. Show us your progress on the Facebook group, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.